Began to lose control. I began to lose control. I was dreaming of the past.
All right, let's get it. Let's go. Let's go. I know it's late. I know it's late out there. And not likely a lot of people are going to watch this live. All good. I still want to get some thoughts out. And because I was going to watch this RNC speech by Donald Trump anyway, I figured I'll go ahead and put my ones and twos on it. Make sure the mic's good though real quick. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. But before we do, let me say a couple things. Because what we're going to do is I'm going to react from an FBA perspective to the Donald Trump speech at the RNC today. First time he's spoken since he's been just the assassination attempt. We're going to get into the Biden. Biden is with the Rona. You know, he's probably going to drop out. There has been reports he's going to drop out. I pretty much figured he would drop out after that debate. And we're going to play some of the debate clips too, just to show you how raggedy this thing has been. And before I get started, let me say a couple things real quick, and just so nobody gets it twisted. I've said this before, but I want to make it clear. I am not partisan by any means. I do not back either party. I do not plan on participating in this national election unless I hear something that sounds beneficial for FBA. Period. And hopefully enough of us will be on that code and we can let it do what it do. And like I said before, regardless of who wins or who loses, the margin will likely be close enough that the difference could have been us. And that's the message that we have to send to both sides of the aisle. That's how I feel about that. Now, of course, with Biden, Trump might landslide him to the point to where that deficit may not even would have been covered by us. Who knows? But I think that he's probably going to pull out and somebody else is probably going to take his place. Who knows who? As long as it's not Kamala, and it will probably be a close race. Right? But if we're going to be real about it, as an FBA, as a foundational Black American, and I'm actually going to speak on behalf of all Americans with this statement. Like, we all should really be ashamed of ourselves that our options are what they are. Like the fact that as of now, our options for president is an old senile Jim Crow era advocate, segregationist on the wrong side of the civil rights history, creating, what was that, the crime bill, has done nothing for us, particularly, or really for anybody. And now he's senile, losing his mind, and can barely even speak. He's like losing his cognitive abilities. And he can't even be up in the polls against somebody who has been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable of sexual assault, a crook. Like, they're all crooks. Understand that. All these politicians are crooks. And I'm saying this because I know a lot of our people are starting to jump to the Republican side from the Democratic side, which I get. I get the idea of why you want to delineate from the Democrats when they ain't did nothing for us. They've done nothing for us. You know what I'm saying? And we've been giving them the support, and they really playing with us at this point. So I get why we get away from them, take our support from them. But to put it into the hands of Republicans when they haven't offered us anything is just as foolish. It's just repeating the same cycle, but jumping to a different side. To me, that makes no sense at all. But even just from a perspective of all Americans, we should be ashamed that these are actually our only options. Like, that's our bad for that. The fact that our options is Trump and Biden, that is our bad as Americans to even have to come up with those as the only candidates to lead the country. Let's just be real about it. Because neither of them have or will do anything for the average working class. Most of these politicians won't. And it's making us look just as ghetto as some of these other countries that we always say we're better than. I'm just being real. If you really want to be proud to be American patriot, then you have to be able to face the facts to make it better. Like there's really no reason. Let's look at it from a white perspective real quick. What is it about Trump that really makes the average white working class non-educated person really want to rock with him so hard? It's the personality, it's the character, it's the idea that the Republicans will sell to the masses. See, in most countries, in a lot of countries, what we have is like dictatorships and we have authoritarians and things of that nature. Here, we're being ruled by propaganda. So they'll play up to our senses. They'll play up like they're actually for us when they're really not. So to the white boys, all they do to the white folks, they'll be like, hey, you know, you're better than those guys. I think it was Lyndon Johnson in the 60s. He said that we could, I'm paraphrasing, but he said if we make the average poor white trash, because that's how they really think about y'all, feel like they're better than other people, then we can pick their pockets and they'll never be the wiser. So what they do is they run the kind of game to where they'll act like they're from the country in the Appalachian Mountains and Mama and Papa, they was moonshiners and you know what I'm saying? They was running moonshine from Tennessee to Eastern Kentucky and you know what I'm saying? Though, like remember what they did. George Bush wasn't no Texan, no Texas country, you know what I'm saying, hillbilly cowboy. That was a facade. His family's from the Northeast. Old money. They wouldn't give the average poor white trash working class person the time of day. But what they do is they make them feel like that. They play to those senses like they're just common people. But in reality, none of these politicians are really common people. 99% of them already had money. We have never had a president that wasn't already rich. Think about it. I'm going to be fair and objective when we watch this RNC speech. I've already watched about 15 minutes, but I figured I wanted to react with it. And I'll be objective about it because from what I watched, I actually like. But let's just be honest about the situation. Let's just be real. As Americans, I'm going to react from a black perspective, a foundational black American perspective. But right now, as Americans, we should be ashamed that these are our only choices. We should be ashamed of the game that we let them run on us. I mean, if you really think about it, there's no president that you could think of, especially in our lifetime, that wasn't already tremendously wealthy before they even ran. Think about it. Think about it. How much do you get paid to be a president per year? The salary, like 400,000, right? 400,000. Okay, that's a nice chunk of change. But have you ever asked yourself, why would someone put up and or raise close to $1 billion just to interview for a job that's going to pay them $400,000? 400,000 times 4 is 1.6 million. 2 terms, that's 3.2 million. Do you understand the difference between 3.2 million and $1 billion? It's like 300 times more than you're going to get paid as a president. So why do they do it? Because there's other ways they're going to make money. And most of it has to do with taking it from us and or sending our fellow American citizens to war and or taking deals from corporate lobbyists so that the corporations can rule over us. So, I mean, either way, they don't represent us. Have you ever noticed? Let me cook for a minute. Have you ever noticed when these politicians, when these candidates are running for office and they decide to go to Bob's Burger Shop in little rural Ohio somewhere, and have you noticed how awkward they look just ordering a burger and fries? Have you ever thought, why do they look so awkward doing this, man? That's just a regular thing we do every day. Oh, it's because they've never done that before. They've never done that. Listen, they've never pumped their own gas. They've never been in the grocery store trying to save money because they need enough money because they need to be able to get to work, and maybe they don't get paid for 2 days and they want to be able to, get something to eat, but still put $20 in the tank because they can't afford to fill it up. They've never done that. They've never went to Tony's Pizzeria and just ordered a slice. They've never done these things. They've never been to the grocery store because they have aides that do that. And this is usually before they become president. They're that rich. Many of the politicians have already been that rich from old money. So to the white folks, they run the game like, hey, I'm one of you. And you're better than the Mexicans. You're better than the blacks. And just, you know what I'm saying? And then to us, it's the same shit. The Democrats will run the game. They'll come in, do a fish fry or hot sauce in the bag, and they'll do the other things that just basically pander to us, and it's really disrespectful. And this is how both sides operate at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we're up against, and these are our choices. How come we have never seen someone run for president that used to be a school principal? How come we've never seen somebody run for president that used to work in a warehouse and, was a director? How come we've never seen the ex-school teacher that ran for president? How come we've never seen the construction worker who worked his way up from an apprentice to a journeyman, started his own small construction company, knows what it's like to actually put on a tool belt and really get to work? How come we've never seen anyone from the middle class become president? Or how come most of these politicians don't come from the middle class? They come from the upper class. They can't relate to us. It doesn't matter if gas goes to $30 a gallon. It makes no difference to them. So how can they make policies that's going to govern us and they've never been in our shoes? They don't know what it's like. Anyway, that's a whole different topic, but I just want to bring that out first before we get to this, because I don't want to seem like I'm partisan on either side. I mean, if we're going to be honest, I understand why people are running away from the Democrats. I definitely understand why most of America doesn't feel like Biden is fit to run the country. And in contrast, Trump looks like a way better candidate. He does. He doesn't mean that he's like really the best person in this country to rule, even though it appears that he's on his road to the presidency. So I just don't want to, I just want to make sure that that's clear before we do this, because it might sound like I'm leaning towards Trump or I'm just shitting on the Democrats. If it sounds like that, just understand my strategy for foundational Black Americans is to not participate in the general unless one side gives us something that we can use. And hopefully, and this is a good time to really ramp up our efforts to make sure that we make it clear that we want tangibles for us specifically. Because right now, the Democrats are in a tough position that they have to give up. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and share this right now. They're in a very compromised position. The fact that they know that they're probably going to have to switch out Biden. He's sick. He wasn't even really polling good anyway. They're going to have to getting somebody else to the table. And that new person, that new strategy, it better include tangibles for African Americans if they expect to be successful, if they expect our support. And this is a good time to make sure that we push that issue. So whoever replaces Biden, hopefully not Kamala, will know that they need to really do some serious outreach towards us and not the symbology and the bullshit and the disrespect that they've been doing thus far. Now let's go ahead and get to this real quick. Let's just see. Like I said, Biden is with the Rona. Here's a report from NBC from a couple of days.
Surprise, Lester, and it means that he had to skip a big campaign speech in Nevada. As he was getting on the plane, he told reporters he feels good. He will go to his home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and officials I've talked to say he will isolate there, carrying out his duties, that so far he has not shown signs of a fever.
So this was a couple of days ago. Actually, this was like yesterday, technically. But depending on how long he's had the vid, Usually the worst part don't start from about 7 days or so. Now he has been vaccinated and boosted, so you could take that how you want. Maybe that's why the symptoms are lower, or you could take it as, well, how the hell do he still get it if he's already had all that? But whatever. Bottom line is, he's not going to be able to continue the race, in my opinion. He's going to definitely. They're not leaking the fact that they're thinking about him sitting down. If, in my opinion, they don't already plan it. I think they've already been planning for this shift even after the debate, because all the money is drying up. The donor money is drying up. So that means that now the Congress is like, oh, the Democratic Party is like, yo, you making us fuck off. You're fucking off our money right now, Joe. You got to go. So they're going to get him out of there. He's probably not going to endorse Kamala, which is a slap in the face for her for all the shucking and jiving she's been doing, really. But at the same time, also because she's not going to pull too much better than him anyway. So if the Democrats really want to win this election, they're going to have to go with somebody else. They're not going to go with who I would prefer them go with, who I think would actually be a decent choice. They're going to go with some corporate Democrat, of course. And, maybe it'll be a closer election because of that, but we'll see.
And he has taken an initial dose of Paxlovid. Tonight, a White House official tells NBC News President Biden has tested positive for COVID this afternoon. The symptoms are said to be mild, and he has not been hospitalized. That news following a new and prominent call for President Biden to exit the 2024 race. From California Democrat Senate candidate Adam Schiff, who writes, "I believe it is time for him to pass the torch." Schiff told donors last weekend, "I think if he is our nominee, I think we lose." Schiff is the 19th Democratic lawmaker to urge the...
He told that to donors. He basically said to the donors, hey, go ahead and freeze that money until we get him out of here. We'll get somebody better. Because, of course, the donors don't want to just sink money into something that they don't really see, being a good investment. And anybody with eyes can see that it's not a good investment.
Change the law. What's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
I mean, Jesus Christ, you cannot. That's not going to work, Joe. And listen, when Trump is in a debate and he's not trying to cut you off, that right there should be a red flag. When he's just letting them talk because he understands, like, hey, the more this dude talks, the more he bumbles and stumbles and mumbles and babbles, he's doing himself a disservice.
We had the safest border in the history of our country.
That $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion.
Now, here's the thing. That sounds good. He's acting like he's down to tax the rich at a higher rate. Significantly, will they really do it? And effectively, will it really happen? They could have did that. He's been in the Senate for like 50 years. One thing that both sides do, Democrats and Republicans, is they cater to the rich and the corporations, the billionaires. Why? Because usually they're billionaires. You know what I'm saying? These politicians don't want to start raising taxes on rich people. They're rich. They give themselves breaks. Every single time they can, they give themselves breaks. Let's just be real.
Dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID with dealing with everything we have to do with.
What are you talking about, dog?
Look,
Look, even Trump's looking at him like,
if
what the fuck is
we
up?
finally beat Medicare.
Jesus.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly.
But one thing about Trump, he's not a bad debater. He's not bad when it comes to these debates. He doesn't always tell the facts. Usually he doesn't, actually. But he's good at countering. He's good at playing to his base. He's good at, you know what I'm saying, just he has more of a gift of gab than Joe by far.
They destroy Social Security. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't.
Look at this dude.
But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with a bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border.
I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about?
Listen, that's facts. The only thing is, the fact is that you're not even ahead of this dude. Like, imagine not even being ahead of somebody who has 34 felonies, man, sexual assaults and shit. Imagine that you can't even have a strong, solid lead against him. So it's one of those things where, like, the more you shit talk on him, it really just speaks to just how little confidence that most people have in you, even against him, because people don't trust that Biden's going to even be able to see 4 years out. They don't even trust cognitively that he'll be able to, even if he is willing, even if his body does survive. Really, let's just keep it a buck.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star.
And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him? And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected.
No, I can't do it. Let's get to the RNC speech. Let's get it. Right, that's the one who died at the event. A little bit of pandering. That's fair though. We can small respect. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? To not do that would be a great mishap. That's the firefighter who was killed during the assassination attempt.
I want to thank the fire department and the family for sending his helmet, his outfit, and it was just something, and they're going to do something very special when they get it. But we did something which cannot match what happened, not even close. But I am very proud to say that over the past few days, we've raised $6.3 million for the families of David, James, and Corey, including from a friend of mine just called up. He sent me a check right here. I just got it. $1 million from Dan Newland. Thank you, Dan. And again, when speaking to the family, I told them, I said, well, I'm going to be sending you a lot of money, but it can't compensate. They all said the same thing. You're right, sir. We appreciate so much what you're doing, but nothing can take the place in the case of Corey and the other two. By the way,
let me start from the beginning.
Delegates and fellow citizens, I stand before you this evening with a message of confidence, strength, and hope. 4 months from now, we will have an incredible victory, and we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Together, we will launch a new era of safety, prosperity, and freedom for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. The discord and division in our society must be healed. We must heal it quickly.
Now, my cap detector is going off a little bit right there. He said the right thing. That's what he should be saying right now. I think the tone that he's taking is very appropriate considering, you know what I'm saying? You know, I've noticed that the Republicans, and from what I've seen from this particular convention, that they are making an effort to at least pretend that they're including Black people in the conversation and accepting them also as Republicans, as I'm sure they would like to do. Do I buy it? Nah. We got to see some cash on the table. We have to see them speak to our needs specifically in tangible terms, not just symbology, not just have, you know what I'm saying? Because even though at the RNC, they may have been trying to play the game like, hey, we got some Black speakers, we got some Black music here and there, whoop-de-whoop. But their base outside of the RNC, outside of these politicians, these actors, they're letting you know how they really feel. They let you know how they really feel about Amber Rose, how they really feel about the vice president nominee's wife, who's Indian. So, you know, they're still on the same rah-rah. Like, let's not get it twisted. That's why I said, don't think as Black people that because now you're fed up with the Democrats, that just jumping on the Republican side, you're just going to be accepted. The reasons why you may have to consider supporting the Republicans is not the same reasons that they have. They don't like Trump for the same reason you do. They don't not like Biden for the same reason you do. I mean, you should understand that just by how the Obama situation went. Obama, policy-wise, didn't do anything that was detrimental to the working class or to white people, but they still didn't like him. And they didn't like him for one reason, and you know that reason. They know that he's not a dictator. He couldn't have done anything and everything he wanted. His policies only continued what George Bush was doing. They just don't, they didn't like the idea, the symbology behind the fact that, hey, there's someone of color who is leading the country. And now, you know, it looks like they're losing their good old way of being able to rely on a old white dude as the president. They don't like Biden not because they don't know that he's a Jim Crow Joe racist, just because he even plays to the idea of liking black people. That's what a lot of these Democrats and these alt-right MAGAs feel. So don't get it twisted thinking you're just going to jump on the bandwagon. It's all gravy. No, we're playing 4D chess right now. At this point, I'm going to say it again. I feel like as FB, as Foundational Black American, as African Americans, we really shouldn't be committing to any side of the aisle unless they speak specifically to our needs. But anyway, back to the speech. His tone is good. He's saying the right things. I don't even think he really needs that ear thing right there. I think he's playing it out for sympathy. But let's be real. Someone did try to swipe at his life. So do I really think that he really needs to have that thing on his ear and all that? Probably not, honestly. But you still got to give it up to the fact that, like, the last time he was behind a podium, someone tried to take him out. Someone tried to snipe him last time he was speaking to the people. So, I mean, say what you want, but there's balls to be able to get back up just days after somebody tried to take your life. Like because there would be trauma. There would be, like, you know what I'm saying, some type of PTSD. So he does have balls. So when you contrast that in comparison to a Joe Biden mumbling, bumbling, and babbling about, yeah, it looks stronger. You know what I'm saying? It looks, you know, that's something that will make people take a look at him like, man, was it divine intervention? They'll have all kinds of different theories, or they'll just respect that type of leadership. And when you compare the two, he looks more fit, if we're going to be real.
As Americans, we are bound together by a single fate and a shared destiny. We rise together or we fall apart.
So the tone, like I said, his tone is a little bit more mild. He's a little bit more reflective. He's sounding like if he stays in this bag, it's really a wrap. It's a wrap.
Running to be president for all of America, not half of America, because there is no victory in winning for half of America. So tonight, with faith and devotion, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States. Thank you.
The nomination, to be clear, is not for President of the United States. It is for the Republican nomination. You run for president. Maybe he's probably just trying to get into his district. Right?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we will do it right. We're going to do it right. Let me begin this evening by expressing my gratitude to the American people for your outpouring of love and support following the assassination attempt at my rally on Saturday.
He is reading for a teleprompter. He is reading that.
As you already know, the assassin's bullet came within a quarter of an inch of taking my life. So many people have asked me, what happened? Tell us what happened, please. And therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened. And you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell. It was a warm, beautiful day in the early evening in Butler Township in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Music was loudly playing, and the campaign was doing really well. I went to the stage, and the crowd was cheering wildly. Everybody was happy. I began speaking very strongly, powerfully, and happily, because I was discussing the great job my administration did on immigration at the southern border. We were very proud of it. Behind me and to the right was a large screen that was displaying a chart of border crossings under my leadership. The numbers were absolutely amazing. In order to see the chart,
Can't help himself.
I started to, like this, turn to my right and was ready to begin a little bit further turn, which I'm very lucky I didn't do, when I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me.
For those who don't know, that's the vapor trail of the bullet, which is crazy that was actually cut. And you got to really think about it. I mean, regardless of what you think about dude, I mean, he just went through something like that. Giving that speech and turning that same direction would have to be some type of PTSD, some type of trigger for most people. Like most people, you're not just back up at it 2 days later after some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to just at least give it up for that, just to be fair.
Really, really hard on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place. I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground. Bullets were continuing to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage. These are great people at great risk, I will tell you, and pounced
Give him props
on top of me.
That's smart right there. Give him props to the Secret Service, even though a lot of people's been questioning him and calling him incompetent. I don't think that would be smart for him to do so, because, you know, his life's in their hands. So, and, you know, they saved him. They did save his life. So giving props to them is very smart. It's the right thing to do.
So that I would be protected. There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet in a certain way I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that.
Now, listen, I don't even know if I really believe he believes in God, but who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, you might now. You might know.
The amazing thing is that prior to the shot, if I had not moved my head at that very last instant, the assassin's bullet would have perfectly hit its mark, and I would not be here tonight. We would not be together. The most incredible aspect of what took place on that terrible evening in the fading sun was actually seen later. In almost all cases, as you probably know, and when even a single bullet is fired, just a single bullet, and we had many bullets that were being fired, crowds run for the exits or stampede, but not in this case. It's very unusual. This massive crowd of tens of thousands of people stood by and didn't move an inch. In fact, many of them bravely but automatically stood up looking for where the sniper would be. They knew immediately it was a sniper, and then began pointing at him. You can see that if you look at the group behind me. That was just a small group compared to what was in front. Nobody ran, and by not stampeding, many lives were saved. But that isn't the reason that they didn't move. The reason is that they knew I was in very serious trouble. They saw it. They saw me go down. They saw the blood and thought, actually most did, that I was dead. They knew it was a shot to the head. They saw the blood. And there's an interesting statistic. The ears are the bloodiest part. If something happens with the ears, they bleed more than any other part of the body. For whatever reason, the doctors told me that. I said, why is there so much blood? He said, it's the ears. They bleed more. So we learned something, but they just...
I don't know if that's true, but...
They just, this beautiful crowd, they didn't want to leave me. They knew I was in trouble. They didn't want to leave me. And you can see that love written all over their faces. Incredible people. They're incredible people. Bullets were flying over us, yet I felt serene. But now the Secret Service agents were putting themselves in peril. They were in very dangerous territory. Bullets were flying right over them, missing them by a very small amount of inches.
So he's giving props to the crowd, his supporters, and props to the Secret Service. That's a good strategy. And I think he's probably sincere about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he appreciates the fact that the people had his back like that. But that's also very good, you know what I'm saying, to solidify his base, for real.
And then it all stopped. Our Secret Service sniper, from a much greater distance and with only one bullet used, took the assassin's life, took him out.
Well, he took him out, cast him
I'm
in.
not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Took the assassin's life, took him out. I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
That'll be a life-changing thing for us. If he can stay in this type of a bag, he's going to come off way more presidential. You got to respect his balls.
But I'm not. And I'll tell you.
Comes off a little bit more humble.
I
and
stand
more
before.
He's going to rock. He's going to cry.
Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
Nigga found religion and shit.
In watching the reports over the last few days, many people say it was a providential moment. Probably was. When I rose surrounded by Secret Service, the crowd was confused because they thought I was dead. And there was great, great sorrow. I could see that on their faces as I looked out. They didn't know I was looking out. They thought it was over. But I could see it. I wanted to do something to let them know I was okay. I raised my right arm, looked at the thousands and thousands of people that were breathlessly waiting, and started shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." Thank you. Once my clenched fist went up, and it was high into the air. You've all seen that. The crowd realized I was okay and roared with pride for our country like no crowd I have ever heard before. Never heard anything like it. For the rest of my life, I will be grateful for the love shown by that giant audience of patriots that stood bravely on that fateful evening in Pennsylvania. Tragically, the shooter claimed the life of one of our fellow Americans, Corey, comparator, unbelievable person, everybody tells me. Unbelievable. And seriously wounded. Two other great warriors, spoke to them today. David Dutch and James Copenhaver. Two great people. I also spoke to all three families of these tremendous people. Our love and prayers are with them and always will be. We're never going to forget them. They came for a great rally. They were serious Trumpsters, I want to tell you. They were serious Trumpsters and still are. But Corey, unfortunately, we have to use the past tense. He was incredible. He was a highly respected former fire chief, respected by everybody. Was accompanied by his wife, Helen, incredible woman. I spoke to her today, devastated, and two precious daughters. He lost his life selflessly, acting as a human shield to protect them from flying bullets. He went right over the top of them and was hit. What a fine man he was.
He's going a little freestyle. He's going off script a little bit, which is perfect because that's relatable. And really, he only has to kind of recall. You know what I'm saying? Really only has to recall what really happened. The momentum is with Trump right now. Big time. Bigly. And I think he's sincere with this shit. I don't think we go through something like that and then we don't really respect, the fact that what really happened.
I want to thank the fire department and the family for sending his helmet, his outfit, and it was just something, and they're going to do something very special when they get it. But we did something which cannot match what happened, not even close. But I am very proud to say that over the past few days, we've raised $6.3 million for the families of David, James, and Corey, including from a friend of mine just called up. He sent me a check right here. I just got it. $1 million. From Dan Newland. Thank you, Dan.
He's taking care of his people.
And again, when speaking to the family, I told them, I said, well, I'm going to be sending you a lot of money, but it can't compensate. They all said the same thing. You're right, sir. We appreciate so much what you're doing, but nothing can take the place in the case of Corey and the other two. By the way, they were very, very seriously injured, but now they're doing very well. They're going to be okay. They're going to be doing very well. They're warriors. So now I ask that we observe a moment of silence in honor of our friend Corey. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for others. This is the spirit that forged America in her darkest hours. And this is the love that will lead America back to the summit of human achievement and greatness. This is what we need. Despite such a heinous attack, we unite this evening more determined than ever. I am more determined than ever, and so are you. So is everybody in this room.
4 months, anything can happen. But as of now, they look like they're going to run away with it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I ain't really mad at it. I'm the vote. Like I said, my strategy is to stay out of it and let both sides know.
Our resolve is unbroken and our purpose is unchanged to deliver a government that serves the American people better than ever before. Nothing will stop me in this mission because our vision is righteous and our cause is pure. No matter what obstacle comes our way, we will not break, we will not bend, we will not back down, and I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country. Never. And everything I have to give with all of the energy and fight in my heart and soul, I pledge to our nation tonight. Thank you very much. I pledge that to our nation. I'm going to turn our nation around, and we're going to do it very quickly. Thank you. This election should be about the issues facing our country and how to make America successful, safe, free, and great again. In an age when our politics too often divide us, now is the time to remember that we are all fellow citizens. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we must not criminalize dissent or demonize political disagreement, which is what's been happening in our country lately at a level that nobody has ever seen before. In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system and labeling their political opponent as an enemy of democracy.
You're still coming with some shade,
Especially since that is not true. In fact, I am the one saving democracy for the people of our country.
It's still a campaign. Still a campaign, man. It's campaigning.
And very big news, as you probably just read. On Monday, a major ruling was handed down from a highly respected federal judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, finding that the prosecutor and the fake documents case against me were totally unconstitutional, and the entire case was thrown out of court. With all of that publicity thrown out of court. If Democrats want to unify our country, they should drop these partisan witch hunts, which I have been going through for approximately 8 years. And they should do that without delay and allow an election to proceed that is worthy of our people. We're going to win it anyway, but worthy of our people.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
On this journey, I am deeply honored to be joined by my amazing wife, Melania.
Now, if he wins, he's gonna do what he can to squash all that shit anyway. But that's not a bad move to put the pressure on the Democrats to have to drop it. That's not a bad move to at least give it a try. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're hot right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, might as well.
And Melania, thank you very much. You also did something really beautiful, a letter to America calling for national unity, and it really took the Republican Party by surprise. I will tell you, it was beautiful.
I don't think Melania really fucks with him like that. I don't think she really fucks with him. I don't think they're really all that cool, but he's there to, you know.
In fact, some very serious people said that we should take that letter and put it as part of the Republican platform. That would be an honor, wouldn't it? Right, Mr. Congressman? but it captivated so many. So I also want to thank my entire family for being here. Don, Kimberly, Ivanka and Jared, Eric and Lara, Tiffany and Michael, Baron. We love our Baron. And of course, my 10 wonderful grandchildren. You saw a few of them up there on my lap before. And how good was Dana? Was Dana good? I mean, was he good? He was on probably the only vacation he's had in about maybe ever, because he works, but about 10 years with his wife, very far away. I won't tell you where, but very, very far away, beautiful place. And my people called and he said, I won't be able to do it. This is many, many years. I promised my wife I can't do it. And they came in, they said, Dana won't be able to do it because he was my first, second, and third choice. I said, well, that's too bad, but I understand he's away and it's good. It's good for him. And that was it. About 30 minutes later, she came back in, sir, Dana just called. He's going to do it. And his wife, she said, you can't turn him down. You just can't do it. You have to go. That's a good wife. So he got on a plane. He got here a little while ago. Now he's going to get on the plane in a little while and he's going to go back home to his wife. But they're great. And I just want to thank her and him and their whole family because that's not easy. And Kid Rock, same thing. Called, he said, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part because, Kid does his great song, big, big monster song. I had no idea. He became a friend of mine over the last 10 years. And he's amazing. Everyone loves him. I didn't even know how big he was. He has rallies, 35, 40,000 people he gets every time he goes out. I think he's making so much money, he doesn't know what the hell to do with it. You want to know?
AKA give him a bag.
And then we have my other friend, and I've known him so long, and we took that song, and it was a big success, but we made that. I saw a chart of great songs to America. That was #1 on the chart recently, #1. So that's Lee Greenwood, a very special, beautiful person. He's a beautiful man. But
one thing about Trump is because he was an entertainer, he was a business mogul and then he got into the entertainment. So he's savvy in the Hollywood scene. He's known. He's made a lot of connections and networked a lot. That helps the campaign because Biden don't got that. You know what I'm saying? Biden ain't got no homies that really fuck with him, that know him from before politics, that, you know what I'm saying, have a lot of influence.
They all wanted to be here. They called. And how about the Hulkster? How good was he? Is he up? Where is he? Boy, oh boy. They may call that entertainment. I know about entertainment, but when he used to lift a 350-pound man over his shoulders and then bench press him 2 rows into the audience, I say maybe entertainment, but he is one strong son of a gun. I will tell you, I watched it many times. There aren't a lot of entertainers that could do that, right? You were fantastic. Thank you very much. Followed by Eric. What was that all about? Boy, that was good. I didn't want to really come up here. But he was so great, and he's such a good young man. He went through a lot of trouble, and Don last night was incredible. They went through so much trouble. They got subpoenaed more than any people probably in the history of the United States. Every week they get another subpoena from the Democrats, crazy Nancy Pelosi, the whole thing, just boom, boom, boom. They've got to stop that because they're destroying our country. We have to work on making America great again, not on beating people and we won. We beat them in all. We beat them on the impeachments. We beat them on indictments. We beat them. But the time that you have to spend, if they would devote that genius to helping our country, we'd have a much stronger and better country.
That's a dagger. It ain't all facts, but it's a good dagger. That's a good political dagger right there.
And Jason, the biggest star in country music. Jason, thank you for being here. Jason, thank you very much. Jason Aldean, he's good.
Jason Aldean.
I like his wife even better, by the way. She's here. Thank you, Jason. But I'm thrilled to have a new friend and partner fighting by my side. The next Vice President of the United States, the current Senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance, and his incredible wife, Usha.
Now, I'm going to be real. I don't know that much about the vice president nominee, but one thing I do know about him that I like is that he holds Bitcoin. He is a Bitcoiner. So it would seem, and Donald Trump has some NFTs as well, and he's changed his stance on Bitcoin. So to me personally, I think that that's a good thing. Like if they were to get in, I think that that would make more innovative technology in the blockchain sector. And I think that their policies will probably be more favorable for digital assets, which I know a lot of people don't really understand. But both of those things, blockchain especially, is something that's very innovative, and to be able to regulate it properly or encourage innovation in that technology specifically, it will be beneficial not just financially, but for a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? So, there's that.
He's going to be a great vice president. He's going to be great. He'll be with this country and with this movement, greatest movement in the history of our country, Make America Great Again. When they criticized it, they said, we're going to try and stop MAGA. I said, MAGA is Make America Great Again. What are you going to stop? There's nothing to stop. Then they say, oh, that's right. It's very tough to fight it. And all of the people that did try and fight it have failed. But he's going to be with us for a long time, and it was an honor to select him. Great student at Yale. His wife was a great student at Yale. They met at Yale. These are two smart people. So, J.D., you're going to be doing this for a long time. Enjoy the ride.
So the thing about the vice president is they're typically selected to pick up a segment of the population that maybe the president can't get. Like Barack Obama had to use old Jim Crow, Joe Biden, because he was able to calm the fears of white people to know that, okay, if something happens to Barack, we got one of our dudes in. And plus he was able to get because Joe Biden's really a Republican. Like, let's be real. He's not really a Democrat like that. He's a Republican, man. He's a very, very, very conservative Democrat, Republican light, at least. So he was able to get the votes from that particular demographic. Barack Obama was able to get the minority and the youth, those who are more progressive. You know what I'm saying? Joe Biden kind of balanced that out. That's how they usually run when you do the vice pres game. You know what I'm saying? So there's a segment of population that maybe J.D. Vance can get to, plus he's younger, blah, blah, blah. It gives the contrast. It gives the ability to reach a wider demographic, basically.
And a very special thank you to the extraordinary people of Milwaukee and the great state of... Oh, there they are. There they are. You are so easy to spot. And Green Bay's going to have a good team this year, right? They're going to have a good team. They're going to have a good team. Most of the audience doesn't like it, but it's true. You're going to have a very good team this year. And by the way, Wisconsin, we are spending over $250 million here, creating jobs and other economic development all over the place. So I hope you will remember this in November and give us your vote. I am trying to buy your vote. I'll be honest about that.
All right, you need to holler at the FBAs, man. Holler, man. Let's get that platinum plan
And I
popping for
promise
real
we will
on that
make
bullshit.
Wisconsin great again. We're going to make it. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm here tonight to lay out a vision for the whole nation. To every citizen, whether you're a young or old man or woman, Democrat, Republican, or independent, black or white, Asian or Hispanic, I extend to you a hand of loyalty and of friendship. Together, we will lead America to new heights of greatness like the world has never seen before.
Listen, we don't need friendship as much as we need tangibles and partnership. That's what we need. That's exactly what we need, man. We need tangible shit. You made the platinum plan, never really got off the ground. You know what I'm saying? Holla at Cube, holla at Ice Cube. Let's throw some nuts and bolts on that. Make sure that there's some tangibles in there for African Americans specifically. We'll rock with you. You know what I'm saying? We'll make America great again like we did the first time.
Right there in the first term, we got hit with COVID. We did a great job. Nobody knew what it was, but nobody's ever seen an economy pre-COVID. And then we handed over a stock market that was substantially higher than just prior to COVID. Coming in, did a great job. Never got credit for that. We got credit for the war and defeating ISIS and so many things. The great economy, the biggest tax cuts ever, the biggest regulation cuts ever, the creation of Space Force, the rebuilding of our military. We did so much. We did so much. Right to try. Right to try is a big deal. We got right to try. They were trying to get that for 52 years. Somebody's terminally ill, and hopefully there's nobody in this audience, but it does happen a lot. They're terminally ill and they can't use our new space age drugs and other things that we are way ahead. We have the greatest doctors in the world, the greatest laboratories in the world, and you can't do it. They've been trying to get that approved for 52 years. Wasn't that easy? The insurance companies didn't want to do it. They didn't want the risk. The labs didn't want to do it because if it didn't work, people are pretty far down the line toward death. They didn't want to do it. The doctors didn't want to have it on their records, so I got everybody into an office. 52 years they tried. Sounds simple, but it's not. And I got them to agree that somebody that needs it will, instead of going to Asia or Europe or someplace, or if you have no money going home and dying, just die. We got them to sign an agreement, agree to it, where they're not going to sue anybody. They're going to get all of this stuff. They're going to get it really fast. And what's happened is we're saving thousands and thousands of lives. It's incredible. Right to try. It's a great feeling. Under our leadership, the United States will be respected again. No nation will question our power. No enemy will doubt our might. Our borders will be totally secure. Our economy will soar. We will return law and order to our streets, patriotism to our schools, and importantly, we will restore peace, stability, and harmony all throughout the world. But to achieve this future, we must first rescue our nation from failed and even incompetent leadership. We have totally incompetent leadership. This will be the most important election in the history of our country. Under the current administration, we are indeed a nation in decline. We have an inflation crisis that is making life unaffordable, ravaging the incomes of working and low-income families, and crushing, just simply crushing our people like never before. They've never.
We got to be real about this. Look, we're going to be fair. We're going to be objective on both sides. Yes, the inflation is terrible. But you have to expect that, and they know that, man. A lot of these people know that. Listen, you can't print out $7 or $8 trillion in stimulus packages that go all to the rich and not expect inflation, you know what I'm saying, to be high. And it's not going to be exactly when you print out those checks. It's going to take a couple of years for that shit. Right now, we're dealing with that. We're dealing with them. I'm not saying that Biden couldn't have done better things as well. What I'm saying is the inflation is due to printing out a large percentage of the current money in circulation all within a span of a couple months during the pandemic. So of course there's going to be inflation. You just added money to the circulating supply, and it's not backed by anything. And most of it didn't go in the hands of the people who would have spent it and stimulated the economy. So that, I mean, that's just to be fair. That's really what it is.
Seen anything like it. We also have an illegal immigration crisis, and it's taking place right now as we sit here in this beautiful arena.
That's true.
It's a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery, crime, poverty, disease, and destruction to communities all across our land. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Then there's an international.
Yeah, and what's wrong about that? So like I said, I understand like why a lot of black people are starting to wake up to the shenanigans of the Democratic Party and the detriments of some of their policies, including the immigration policy. The fact that and there was a lot of illegals coming in when he was president too. That's a fact. However, the Democrats took it to a different level when they started creating different programs to give these illegals all types of immunities and housing programs and build homes for them and give them billions and billions of dollars, which could have went to, us because we paid a tax. It could have went to the black community because a lot of these immigrants are coming into black communities, making the crime go, victimizing the communities and getting resources, not just the resources that are already there, but specific resources for them that could be going to us. It could be going to the community as in a whole or in general. So that's a problem. And I know that's why some black people are starting to switch over. A lot of us are starting to switch over. I'm just saying, like, don't just jump on the dick of either party without specific promises and tangibles, negotiations and deals specifically for us. That's how we got to play the game.
Crisis, the likes of which the world has seldom been part of. Nobody can believe what's happening. War is now raging in Europe and the Middle East. A growing specter of conflict hangs over Taiwan, Korea, the Philippines, and all of Asia. And our planet is teetering on the edge of World War III. And this will be a war like no other war because of weaponry. The weapons are no longer army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. These weapons are obliteration. It's time for a change. This administration can't come close to solving the problems. We're dealing with very tough, very fierce people. They're fierce people. And we don't have fierce people. We have people that are a lot less than fierce, except when it comes to cheating on elections and a couple of other things. Then they're fierce.
Oh, wow.
Then they're fierce. So tonight, I make this pledge.
I ain't even gonna lie. Look. Part of the reason why I do like Trump, like the reasons that I actually like him for the most part, are not actually good attributes as a president. I like him because he trolls. I love the trolling. I love when he's taking shots. You know what I'm saying? I love when he's doing that kind of shit. That's not necessarily a good attribute or characteristic for a president. But, as a person, I think it's funny as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But let's get back to all these things that's going to make the economy great. One of the things that's going to make the economy great is paying reparations. You pay tangibles, you pay reparations, which are due. The economy will be stimulated like never before because all this money that's going to these immigrants is going to other countries after that. They're sending it back home. It's not stimulating our economy. The money that's going to Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan and all these foreign nations, that's not helping us. It's not helping the American people. It's not helping our economy. It also contributes to the inflation, if we're going to keep it real. So actually paying tangibles. Some people say that the reason why he was able to evade the assassination was because of divine intervention. And while I can't deny that obviously something is special or something in the universe, there's some reason why he turned his head at the exact moment that he did to narrowly escape death. I don't think that is for no reason. To say it was divine intervention to save his life, to some would make it sound like that I'm saying God had his back, but not the poor firemen who died or the other people who were critically injured. I don't know the answer to that, to why that would be the case. I wish I did. But if we're going to go with that line of thinking, then I would say maybe sometimes these blessings happen not because of the person or for the person, but for a bigger cause. And maybe if that's the case, and we look at the world that we're living in right now, and if it's truly time for justice, and maybe now is the time to strike when it comes to reparatory justice for the descendants of those who actually built this nation. Maybe it's time to finally pay that justice and do something on behalf of African Americans or foundational Black Americans. And I think he would be more likely for that type of negotiation or situation. I think he is willing to shake things up. He's willing to do some things that the majority of people will not like, won't like, but that would really cement his legacy. And if people really want to see this country be as great as it can't be as great as it can be if the people who built this nation and who are due justice for centuries aren't given that justice. That will truly make, if you really want to see 1,000-year reign in the United States, you have to do that. White supremacy will kill this country. It will make this country implode on itself. We're seeing that happen. Him being shot, if you want to be real, is in part a result of white supremacy imploding on itself. Not just because the dude happened to be a Republican, happened to be a white dude, but just look at even the aftermath of it. They're making excuses for him. Like people, the media is actually trying to make it, oh, he was bullied. He didn't really have any friends. They're making excuses. And the fact that he was able to get so close is because they were so complacent. The security was so lax and complacent because they thought they're in a nice, safe spot. Yeah, he looks suspicious, but he's white, because no way a brother would have been able to sneak up like that. No way a brother would have not been gaffled up a long time before he'd be able to get on a roof with a fucking rifle. And we know that it's not usually us that's taking those shots. So it seems like they should be more on guard when they're in those bumpkin towns, Trump MAGA country, because it's them cats that be doing the most. But they neglected to secure the spot, in part, I think, because they felt like they're so safe, and they didn't take weird white dudes with rifles serious enough. It didn't even enter their mind, obviously, that they would even have to really worry about that, to the point to where they would have prevented it, because they should have. If that rally was in Atlanta, that would have never happened. Because first of all, it wouldn't have probably been one of us who would do that, but they would have secured the premise that much more, knowing that they're in a Black community. Police that get killed by white nationalists, they usually give that person several warnings to put down their gun first, but they would never do for us. So white supremacy, that ideology will make the country implode. And then there'll be help from external and internal forces. So if you really want America to be great, you got to do right by the people who built it and that were actually here long before most settlers. Let's just be real. Like it or not, that's just a fact.
Great people of America, I will end the devastating inflation crisis immediately, bring down interest rates, and lower the cost of energy. We will drill, baby, drill. Can you believe what they're doing? But by doing that, we will lead a large-scale decline in prices. Prices will start to come down. Energy raised it. They took our energy policies and destroyed them. Then they immediately went back to them. But by that time, so much was lost. But we will do it at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And we'll end lots of different things. We'll start paying off debt and start lowering taxes even further. We gave you the largest tax cut. We'll do it more. You know, people don't realize I brought taxes way down, way down, and yet we took in more revenues the following year than we did when the tax rate was much higher. Most people said, how did you do that? Because it was incentive. Everybody was coming to the country. They were bringing back billions and billions of dollars into our country. The companies made it impossible to bring it back.
Let's be real. Those tax cuts, most of those tax cuts that he did were for the rich. It wasn't for the common class.
Back, the tax rate was too high, and the legal complications were far too great. I changed both of them, and hundreds of billions of dollars by Apple and so many other companies were brought back into our nation, and we had an economy the likes of which no nation had ever seen. China, we were beating them at levels that were incredible. And they know it. They know it. We'll do it again, but we'll do it even better. I will end the illegal immigration crisis by closing our border and finishing the wall, most of which I've already built. On the wall, we were dealing with a very difficult Congress. And I said, oh, that's okay. We won't go to Congress. I call it an invasion. We gave our military almost $800 billion. I said, I'm going to take a little of that money because this is an invasion. And we built, most of the wall is already built. And we built it through using the funds because what's better than that? We have to stop the invasion into our country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. We're not going to let that happen.
But you did say that Mexico is going to pay for that.
I will end every single international crisis that the current administration has created, including the horrible war with Russia and Ukraine, which would have never happened if I was president, and the war caused by the attack on Israel, which would have never happened if I was president. Iran was broke. Iran had no money. Now Iran has $250 billion. They made it all over the last 2.5 years. They were broke. I watched the other day on a show called Deface the Nation. Has anyone seen it? And they had a congressman who was a Democrat say, well, whether you like him or not, Iran was broke dealing with Trump. I told China and other countries, if you buy from Iran, we will not let you do any business in this country.
All right, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not about to do an hour and a half of this, honestly. 38 minutes is enough, you know what I'm saying? And really, since I don't know all the actual facts and details to be able to know if everything he's saying is true or not, I suspect that a lot of it ain't. That's just how it is with Trump. You know, just being fair, that's just real. However, I mean, if you want to keep it a buck, he seems more likely, he seems more electable optically than Joe Biden. So I know they're probably going to switch out Joe Biden for somebody else. It is what it is. Maybe that person can make it close, but I think the momentum is with the Republicans right now. And I'm gonna say it one more time as I end it. Look, I'm not trying to suggest. I don't. What you do is your business. Whoever you want to vote for, whoever you want to support, that's your business. I would just suggest not broadcasting and committing publicly to anyone. There's 4 months left, so both sides of the aisle has their opportunity to say something sweet, to talk nice to us. As they're promising all these other groups, they need to talk nice to us too. Like, really, they should be talking nice to us first. There's no other group in this country more deserving, or who's been here longer, who they actually owe something to, who actually built the country. So I fuck all these other groups, not fuck them, no disrespect to them, but I'm saying we should be demanding and expecting that we would benefit exclusively, not that no one else would benefit, but there would be something for us with either of these parties before we support it. So don't just jump off the Democrats just to jump on the Republicans and they ain't saying nothing, saying that's going to be beneficial to us. Don't just vote Democrat and they're not saying nothing beneficial. Sit back and just peep game. Let them know what it is and let's see who fucks with us and who don't. And if neither of them do, we could always go to couch. And then whoever loses the election, they're going to know that, hey, they would have had a better chance with us. So maybe they'll wise up and we could do some business. Either whoever gets elected, listen, we've been through worse as a people. Don't let them scare you with the Trump's the boogeyman shit. You know what I'm saying? We know Jim Crow Joe is not only incompetent, but he's just as racist. So don't let them scare you with the boogeyman shit, because no matter what, we've been through presidents who literally was mutilating our ancestors. We can make it through whatever president. But now we got to let them know that we want something for our vote. We want something for our participation in this general election political system. Locally, we can still do the politics. That's just me, though. You do what you do. I'm out. Appreciate y'all. If you're watching this, the replay or live, peace.